always going to see Polaris.
Why would you think that this is a conspiracy? Why would they lie about the Earth spinning when it's really the universe spinning? There's a bunch of different factions that you call the government.
I agree.
And the idea that it's all like the government can't be trusted.
I just say that because I'm not going to. I mean, you want me to pick out some agencies? Yeah, NASA. I could pick out some NIST. But just in general, it's history, science, education, energy. Everything has always been controlled by the government since day one. Radio has been used as propaganda since the day it was invented. You think some independent dude just invented radio and then he started broadcasting like his favorite music and shit and his thoughts? No, it was the government from day one in radio. It was the government in all countries from day one in TV, in the movies. It was all radio, TV, and the movies have always been about propaganda. Always in every country. It's nothing new.
Eddie, have you ever heard of the law of perspective?
Yes, I know exactly.
Do you know that's not real? It's not a law.
What about it?
They're giving the definition of what perspective is.
You know what the law of perspective is?
Yeah,
I know what it is.
I'm trying to tell you though, real quick. There are laws of conservation of energy and such in physics. There are actual laws that can be translated without even speaking language. It's math. The law of perspective is not one of those.
That the parallel lines do not angle or converge towards the ground, nor do they angle towards the ceiling, nor to the left or right. They angle to the eye level of the observer. This image is a product of our eyes. These are horizontal parallel lines, yet we see them not as parallel, but on an angle towards a point in the distance. Now, of course, we know that they are parallel, but they visually are not. Here you can see parallel lines made up of bricks on the walls. The wall on the left, though, is headed out towards the horizon, and all the lines angle toward the eye level of the observer. The bottom ones angle up and the top ones angle down. This is a great illustration of how all the lines angle to your eye position. You can't deny it. All the lines converge at a center point on the horizon called the vanishing point. Parallel lines above it angle down, the lines below angle up, the sides angle in. The vanishing point is the intersection of the horizontal and vertical axis of our eye position. It's parallel all the way out, parallel with the ground. That's why I say you can't look down at the horizon, because the horizon angles up to your eye level. The two, your eye level and the ground plane, are parallel all the way to the horizon. But it's the bottom ground plane that angles up to your eye level.
That doesn't even make any sense. Why would it be easier to get people to listen if they're on a ball rather than if on a plate?
The consequences of evil teaching, whether in religion or in science, are far more disastrous than is generally supposed, especially in a luxurious, laissez-faire age like our own. The intellect becomes weakened, and the conscience seared. We have been taught, contrary to all common sense and experience, that the seemingly motionless, flat earth beneath our feet is actually a massive, moving ball spinning through space at over 1,000 miles per hour, wobbling and tilted 23.5 degrees on its vertical axis, while orbiting the sun at a blinding 67,000 miles per hour, in concert with the entire solar system, spiraling 500,000 miles per hour around the Milky Way, and careening across the expanding universe away from the Big Bang at an incredible 670 million miles per hour, but that you can feel and experience none of it. We have been taught that a mysterious force called gravity, a magical magnetism responsible for keeping everything from falling or flying off the spinning ball Earth, is just strong enough to hold people, oceans, and the atmosphere tightly to the surface, but just weak enough to allow bugs, birds, and planes to take off with ease. We have been taught that the ball Earth spins at a constant velocity, perfectly dragging the atmosphere along so we cannot feel the slightest bit of motion, perturbation, wind, or air resistance. They say we cannot feel any of this motion because the magical Velcro of gravity pulls the atmosphere precisely along, and we cannot measure any of this motion because the stars are so incredibly far away that over 100 million miles of supposed annual orbit around the sun amounts to not a single inch of relative parallax change. How convenient. We have been taught that our ignorant ancient ancestors for millennia falsely believed the Earth to be the flat, immovable center of the universe, But thanks to modern science and its Masonic prophets like Copernicus, Newton, Galileo, Collins, Aldrin, and Armstrong, we now believe the world to be a giant whirling sea-earth globe careening through infinite space. We have been taught that the universe was unintelligently designed and randomly created in a cosmic coincidence of nothing inexplicably becoming everything. And I venture to say that the grand total will record nothing so utterly impossible or so supremely ridiculous as this modern scientific delusion of a globe spinning away in space in several different directions at the same time at rates of speed which no man is able to grasp, with the inhabitants, some hanging heads down and others at various angles to suit the inclination. Write down all the swindles that ever were perpetrated. Name all the hoaxes you ever heard or read about. Include all of the impostors and bubbles ever exposed. Make a list of all the snares that popular credulity could ever be exposed to, and you will fail in getting within sight or hearing of an imposture so gross, a hoax so ingenious, or a bubble of such gigantic proportions as has been perpetrated and forced upon unthinking multitudes in the name of science, and as proved incontrovertible fact by the expounders of modern astronomy. Again and again have their theories been combated and exposed, but as often have the majority who did not think for themselves accepted the popular thing. We have been taught that the height of stupidity and naivety was when our ignorant ancestors believed the earth to be flat, and that if any man somehow still thinks the earth to be the immovable center of the universe, that they must be the most primitive kind of ignoramus. Nowadays the label flat earther has become literally synonymous with moron, and is a common cliché derogatory term for insulting someone's intelligence. Keep in mind that a rotating, orbiting Earth is not counted as a mere hypothesis or even a theory anywhere in the world today. Oh no. Rather, this concept is an unquestioned truth, an established fact in all books and other media everywhere, church media included. Copernicanism, in short, is a concept that is protected in a bunker under a 50-foot thick ceiling of solid scientific concrete. It is meant to be impregnable. It is a concept that has become ensconced in men's minds as the indestructible cornerstone of enlightened modern man's knowledge. Virtually all people everywhere have been taught to believe, and do believe, that this concept is based on objective science and dispassionate secular reasoning. B. Chasbro wrote, 99 people out of 100 would give the same answer to the interrogation, and that same answer would be to the effect that the Earth is a globe which revolves around the sun. The 99 who makes this reply would do it because they know it to be the case. How do they know it? Let this question be put to them, and they will bestow upon you a withering smile of pity at what they conceive to be an imbecility of mind on your part, and answer you in something like the following style. It has always been so. We learnt it at school. Clever men say so, and look how astronomers can foretell eclipses, and then lose their temper at the very idea of the globular theory being incorrect, and a haughty, there can be no doubt about it, will close all they have to say on the subject. Now if the ears of these 99 could only be gained, they would be shown, in an irresistible manner, that the philosophy which would speak of a round and revolving world is a false philosophy.
There's a lot of people saying it, man.
Okay, all those guys. There's a lot of people in mental institutions. There's a lot of people in jail. There's a lot of people that are child molesters. There's a lot of people.
A lot of racist
people. If you gave those people
clubs.
videos, if you gave every racist person a video camera and made them a YouTube video, you'd be like, oh,
have
YouTube's all filled with racists.
Have you watched History of Flat Earth by Eric Dubé? Have you seen that?
Sure have. How long is it? No, how long?
Eddie, no.
I don't have an hour for that.
There you go.
So
you haven't looked into it.
You're asking for a job.
What's the side? You got to listen. What is their side?
Into
What is
it.
their side? What is Eric Dubé's
I don't want
side?
to. I
What's his
don't
side?
care
Who
his side,
cares?
though. Fourth grade, my teacher. Cool.
Hey, you know what? You don't care, and that's fine. I'm not going to be mad at you for not caring.
No, of course
Don't
not.
be mad at me for caring, though. That's
I'm
all.
not
But
mad
and
at
you're
you.
not.
Okay.
Make any
I'm
sense
not mad
because
at
you
you.
don't you don't look into
But
what
don't get mad,
scientists
though.
say.
Why are you getting mad?
Because you don't look into what scientists say.
If I were to ask you, or any random person, who was the most brilliant man of the modern era, what would be the answer? The answer, of course, for most people would be Albert Einstein. He is viewed as the man who changed mathematics and the way we perceive the universe. Most of the now widely accepted work in higher mathematics after Einstein was based on his theories. What if I were to tell you that there was another man that lived when Einstein did? A man who accomplished more than Einstein could dream of. A man who challenged all the theories Einstein proposed. A man whom Einstein actually agreed with in 1920. But this fact seems to go largely unnoticed. This man has been accused of all sorts of things. He was accused of everything from being a mad scientist to being some kind of wizard, and was seen as a heretic to modern science and mathematics. He was villainized in 1941 through cartoons. In the first of Max Fleischer's Superman cartoons, Superman fought a mad scientist bearing this mad's name. There are many quotes of his that contradict other quotes, so much so that it is hard to know if some of them are real. This man is someone whom science wanted to forget, and whom all bankers of the time cut off funding to. This man died penniless and alone, with only pigeons to keep him company. One of his last projects was a new theory of gravity. According to FBI documents acquired via the Freedom of Information Act request, the sum of this man's possessions consisted of about 2 truckloads of material and approximately 30 barrels and bundles, which were seized upon his death in 1943 by agents of the now defunct Office of Alien Property Custodian. One document states that it is reported to have some 80 trunks in different places containing transcripts and plans having to do with experiments. This man's research was seen as so dangerous that it has never been declassified by the government. This man was a physicist with more formal training in the field than Albert Einstein, who was a patent clerk. This man had a photographic memory and spoke 6 languages. He showed genius at an early age and was able to perform integral calculus in his head, though his teachers thought him to be cheating. Did he accomplish anything with this genius? This one man invented radio, AC power, which is used worldwide today, laser, radar, X-ray, wireless communication, particle beam weaponry called Star Wars technology, which has only recently been admitted by our government in a video I will link to you, wireless electricity, which has only recently been replicated, and poorly, I might add, by the self-proclaimed geniuses at MIT, cellular technology, the electron microscope, microwave technology, hydroelectric generators, neon lights, fluorescent lights, brushless synchronous and induction motors, bladeless turbine and pump, remote control, electronic robotics, just to name a few. He predicted things like the BlackBerry in 1909. Before the 1900s, he demonstrated remote control boats. Who was this man? Nikola Tesla. Why was this man so dangerous? Tesla said things like this about Einstein's work. It is a magnificent mathematical garb which fascinates, dazzles, and makes people blind to the underlying errors. The theory is like a beggar, clothed in purple, whom ignorant people take for a king. Its exponents are brilliant men, but they are metaphysicists, meaning they deal with the supernatural, rather than scientists. Tesla said a good example for such an interaction becomes apparent in gravitation, which should rather be named universal compression. I think the material bodies do not gravitate between each other, but it is the ether that makes one material body to press to another. We wrongly call this phenomenon gravitation. The stars, planets, and all the universe appeared from the ether, when some part of it, due to certain reasons, became less dense. Einstein's theories were based on the non-existence of the ether. What is not presented much in media is that Einstein himself doubted his theories on multiple occasions. In 1920 he said, "But on the other hand, there is a weighty argument to be adduced in favor of the ether hypothesis. To deny the ether is ultimately to assume that empty space has no physical quality whatsoever. The fundamental facts of quantum mechanics do not harmonize with this view. Recapitulating, we may say that according to the general theory of relativity, space is endowed with physical qualities. In this sense, therefore, there exists an ether. According to the general theory of relativity, space without ether is unthinkable. For in such space, there not only would be no propagation of light, but also no possibility of existence for standards of space and time, measuring rods and clocks, nor therefore any space-time intervals in the physical sense. Media presents the idea of Einstein-based mathematics as fact. We are told that this is concrete and that the entire scientific community is in total agreement. This could not be farther from the truth. In fact, calling it mathematics at all is misleading. These are theories with no absolutes. There are two divided camps, one that believes there is an ether and one that doesn't. All we are presented with on television is the theories that rely on no ether existing and then replacing the ether with things like dark matter to try to make all the theories work.